Hey guys, tonight let's talk about getting a little bit of information out of your databases. Now, all we're going to do tonight is we're going to get the total size of all of the databases on your server. This can be really useful when you need to do something like estimate backup space and whatnot, like if you don't have compressed backups, right? Or if you need to estimate total data space, something like that, right? So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'll right-click on databases here and go to Start PowerShell. Now there are a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to show you both of them if I feel like it. This is actually taken from a blog that I did a while back. I thought I'd shoot a quick video on it. No. Of course, you're going to start with a directory because that's what you always start with, right? And for the directory, we're going to send that to a for each right away. Don't forget your curlies. And right after that, I'm gonna create a variable, right? And then I'm gonna say the variable is going to be equal to itself plus the size of the current database that's coming in. I'll hit enter on that, and I got that. And all I got to do is hit total, and I've got my total size right here. See, that's actually pretty easy, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I'll explain this code once again. Right there, I'm pulling a directory of all the databases, and for each one, that's what that little percent is, I'm going to take this variable total, cache total, and I'm going to say plus equal. That's the same thing as total equals total plus 1, right? Or what it used to be. So I'm saying add the size of the current database to what's already here, right? So, and it's that simple. I'll do that. Oops, and I get the total again. And of course it doubled now, right? Because I've run it twice. So it added what was already in there already because there's nothing here to clear it, right? So okay, that's one way to do it. And that's actually my favorite because now you can manipulate the number fairly easily. The other way you can manipulate it a little easily too. You just got to take an extra step. But the code is also longer. So let's see, it would be something like directory, pipe that to a measure object, and I'm going to say the property is size, and I want to get the sum. That should do it. There we go. And now you see I get the same number here as I did here, right? Those numbers match up. So now if I wanted to be able to manipulate this, the only thing I would have to do differently would be to like set it to a variable. So I'd say cache A equals that. Then I can say cache A. Then I say cache A dot sum, right? So now I can manipulate that. Now how would I manipulate that? What would I want to do to manipulate that? Well, you may want to convert it, right? I mean, this looks like it's coming in as KB, so you may want to convert that to gigs, right? If you've got a lot of databases, a lot of big databases, you may want to convert that to gigs or terabytes or something, so that it makes it a lot easier to see, right? So if I come here and say cache A dot sum, and if I divide that by 1, oh, what would I convert it by? Actually, yeah, this output is in megs, isn't it? So let's see. Let's divide it by 1 meg and see what we get. Okay, let's divide it by. Can we do KB? Oh, stop. Yeah, do that. There we go. Okay, so what we've done here, you've got to realize, now watch, let me show you here. If I want to do it in gigs, if I do that in gigs, I get 6 gigs. Okay, that's excellent, but I don't have 6 gigs of databases on here. Okay, no, actually I do have 6 gigs on here. Okay, so sorry, I got my math mixed up there for a second, right? Okay, so this output, this default output up here is in megs, right? So if you want to divide it by 1 gig and have it convert to 1 gig, that 1 gig trick assumes that the whole thing is in, that the output is in bytes. But it's not in bytes, it's in megs. So if you divide by 1 gig, you're going to get it off because it assumes. So you see the answer I got right here when I did it by 1K had 65 point something, right? When I did it by 1 gig, I got 6 point something, and then it turned into a scientific number there, right? So if I want to do this appropriately, I would just say by 1024, right? Because it's already in megs, and I got to go up to gigs. So there we go, right there. 65 is my answer. I got 65 gigs. Wow, I got 65 gigs of database on this server, really? Huh. Okay. So, and that's evidenced by here when I went down a level, because from bytes, you remember, all these guys are shortcuts, right? So when if I have it in bytes, then, and I divide it by 1K, it's going to divide it by 1024. And if I do it by 1 meg, it's going to do 1024 by 1024, or maybe it'll multiply it into 2096. I don't know exactly how it works. And if I do it by 1 gig, then it'll do it by 1024, 1024, 1024, right? So you got to think, going from megs to gigs, you need to go divided by 1024, which in this case is dividing it by 1K. That's a little misleading. I would never actually do that, right? And the same thing works here, right? Divided by 1 KB. See, so I get 131 because it's doubled, right? Remember that? We doubled it up there at the top here when we ran it twice. But I would never do that because in practice, if you were to put this into a script somewhere and somebody were to look at this and say, oh, well, I see that's being divided by K, then they may be misled into thinking there's only 131K of databases or only 65K of databases on here. And it's just misleading. They would have to know that this is returned in megs instead of in bytes like it's supposed to be in order to use this trick. So I would never do that. If I were going to do this, I would say total divided by 1024, and then I would go put a thing out there and say 2 gig, right? I'd do it something like that so they could at least tell what my intent was. So anyway, doubled, we have 131 gigs. As an honest number, we have 65 gigs. You can do this either way. We've got this nice succinct way right here. We've got this other way right here. They're both perfectly cromulent, I suppose. I don't know. It wouldn't really do you any good to find the average database. I mean, that's not usually very useful. The minimum database can be useful sometimes if you've got like thousands of databases on there and you're just curious of what the smallest size is. But for the most part, you're going to be looking for something like sum, so you can estimate some kind of growth or estimate some kind of space needed, either for backups or for, you know, a DR server or something like that. So anyway, there you go. That's how to get how to calculate the sum of all the databases on your server. Take care.